Are trans women women girls? And are trans men men? And is non-binary valid? Well, that settles it.
My absolute favorite way to respond to people being transphobic to me in person is to pretend like I have no idea what they're talking about or what being trans is. I live in a pretty small town. If I wear something out like this, most people won't say anything, but you have the occasional person who's like, you could never be a woman. You know what I do? What are you talking about? And then they have to explain, usually by pointing out the colors of the item I'm wearing. And in that case, these are just my favorite colors. What the fuck are you talking about? And they love to follow up with this. Are you okay? Do you need me to call somebody for you? Gags them every time, and they have nothing else to say. Get help, bitch.
Hello, my name is Madi. I'm an intersex person, educator, and advocate, and October is Intersex Awareness Month. So you might be asking yourself, why is intersex awareness so important? One of the reasons that intersex awareness is so important is if you asked almost anyone if they've ever met an intersex person before, chances are they'd probably say no. But intersex people are everywhere. Intersex people make up about 2% of the population, which is around the same percentage of people in the population who have red hair and who have green eyes respectively. Which means that most people have probably interacted with hundreds if not thousands of intersex people in their life. So why do most people think that they probably haven't? In a lot of ways, people often look for physical indicators that somebody is intersex. And because intersex people don't neatly fit into either binary sex category, a lot of people think that means that all intersex people look androgynous. This isn't the case. Intersex people have a wide variety of gender expressions and presentations. In fact, intersex people have an extremely wide variety of just intersex experiences. With over 30 intersex variations being recognized and acknowledged, there's no singular intersex experience. And there's no right or wrong way to be intersex. When people believe and perpetuate the idea that being intersex is rare, often it's to make people more comfortable with the idea that there are innate, inherent, and natural distinctions between the sex binaries. The fact of the matter is that you can't neatly fit people into boxes, and intersex people are proof of that. By acknowledging that intersex people are not rare at all, we're accepting more and more that the things that we were always taught were binary are actually a lot more of a spectrum than we realize. And that's what makes awareness so important.
One time I posted a video and like the first clip was me dressed as like a conservative, like straight dude being like, dudes can't wear dresses. And then like the next clip was me wearing a skirt and being like, oh, fucking cute and sexy. And so I posted that, it got traction or whatever. And obviously I'm trans, female to male, transitioned, transgender, you know what I mean? But at the time I didn't have my pronouns in my bio for some reason, like I don't fucking know. It just said trans. Don't know why I made that choice. And so I post the video and I don't look at it. And then when I go to look at it a while later, I'm like, oh my God, this has like so many views and comments. And I go to look at the comments, and I guess because I pass as male, people assumed that the video was like me saying I was a transgender woman. I looked at the comments and they were literally all like, you fucking go, girl. Ugh, I love her. Queen. Ugh, I love it when women. And then I was like, this is too far gone. I think I just have to be a fucking trans woman now, because now I have all these people who are being like outright supportive of me while also like completely misgendering me and assuming that I am a woman. Honestly, in the end, just gave me validation that I pass so much as male that it would be unbelievable that I am not biologically male. Yeah!
Alright, here are some of my favorite leftist YouTubers and my favorite videos by them. FD Signifier, the uncle of Black leftist YouTube, can't go wrong here. This is my favorite video by him, The Real Faces of Black Conservatism. St. Andrewism releases nothing but bangers, so it was really hard to pick a favorite video, but I picked two. What is Black Anarchism? A Practical Guide to Revolution. And I would not be the person I am today if I had not discovered PhilosophyTube in 2019. Her coming out story is a great video. Social Constructs, What is a Woman Really? Of course, I gotta mention my mutuals, Turb. Why Digital Minstrelsy is Real, must watch. And another one of my mutuals, Think Peace Tribe. Taylor Swift and White Feminism, banger.
$15.2 billion this year, or about 300. How do you defy that?
Are suing the Grammy Award-winning singer.
I don't think I am. Look, my wife at the start didn't like me.
If you're neurospicy and feeling especially hopeless today like me, perhaps this list of very talented artists with schizophrenia may help. 1. Yayoi Kusama. She's one of the greatest artists in the world, and she's been voluntarily living in a mental health facility since the 1970s. Why all the polka dots, you ask? Great question. It's because she's been hallucinating them all over absolutely everything since she was 10. 2. Louis Wayne. He was the president and chairman of the National Cat Club. His art began all cute and cuddly, but then his wife died, and their cat died, and his sister died. So his schizophrenia developed and turned into this and this. He continued to paint cats even when institutionalized for the rest of his life. Edvard Munch, the guy that painted The Scream, also led a tragic life. He was always super talented, but after his dad died, he painted a series of 22 paintings. They're called The Frieze of Life, and they blew people's minds. Eventually institutionalized for hearing voices, and after he was released, he lived his life in isolation until he died. 4. The fairy painter Richard Dad, who actually killed his dad, went to the very prestigious Royal Academy of Arts, and he showed a lot of promise. One day he went to Egypt, and then he came back, and he immediately lured his dad into the woods and unalived him. And he fled to do the same thing to the Emperor of Austria, but he was caught, and he confessed, and then he was institutionalized for life. 5. Friedrich Schroeder. This Russian-German artist was said to be really violent, but he was also into the occult, and he hated authority, and he fed a lot of poor children. I like him. He started painting monster hybrids because the love of his life died. 6. This beautiful French sculptor named Camille Claudel. Except for her brother, none of her family ever approved of her talent and wanted her to get married instead. She also lived her life in the shadow of her lover and mentor, so she never got the recognition she deserved. 7. The apparently very swaggy Carlo Sinelli, a butcher's apprentice who started making art while he was institutionalized. You know what? None of these are helping me feel better. I think it just made it worse.
Neurodivergence test. Yep, still there.
Never know if you don't go. You'll never shine if you don't glow. Hey now, you're an all-star. Get your game on, go play. Hey now, you're a rock star. Get the show on, get paid. And all that glitters is gold. Only shooting stars break the mold. It's a cool place, and they say it gets colder. You're bundled up now, wait till you get older. But the media men beg to differ, judging by the hole in the satellite picture. The ice we skate is getting pretty thin. The water's getting warm, so you might as well swim. My world's on fire, how about yours? That's the way I like it, and I'll never get bored. Hey now, you're an all-star. Get your game on, go play. Hey now, you're a rock star. Get the show on, get paid. All that glitters is gold.
Teen slang that confuses adults. Bet, sus, mid, fire, drift. Teen slang. And this is what I call racial pathology happening right before our eyes. Because how these folks keep on relegating the way in which we speak in our community as being teen language, as being adolescent language. This is African American vernacular English right now. You see what I'm saying? And I know the internet has made it where the way that we speak, you know what I mean? The language of our nurture has become a lot more accessible and a lot more known to people in the general public. So you like to use it. You see what I'm saying? But listen, it is not teen slang. It is not TikTok slang. When we start talking about linguistics or rhetoric, you feel me, dialect, how particular people in our society speak, we got to recognize that the way in which Ebonics, slang, code switching happens amongst the black community, this is how it gets appropriated. And for the people in the back, no, all black people do not speak with Ebonics or slang or African American vernacular English, but I acknowledge that the particular way in which you understand it, it derives specifically from our community.
Come on, baby, come on.
When you walk by every night. I very rarely utilize the green screen to do a stitch moment for people who have turned off their duets and stitches, but I felt like it was extremely important for this video. Because in this video, you see predominantly thin people who are talking about having the chafe. But when I talk to so many people about why they want to experience weight loss, a lot of times it's because they think that if they are thin enough, then they no longer will have to deal with these kinds of problems. And so this is your reminder that thinness does not just cure the fact that bodies be bodying, and that it's okay to accommodate yourself by doing something like wearing biker shorts. Personally, I wear shorts that are provided by one of the brands that I'm an ambassador for whenever I'm wearing anything where my thighs will be touching, because it keeps that from happening, as well as utilizing a gliding stick of some sort. So accommodations, babes, accommodations.
Ooh, accommodations for the disabled improve quality of life for everyone. Baka. It's weird that the topics of death and copulation are considered taboo when they're literally the oldest of human experiences. Nani? Ghetto. Corporations like to drag their feet when it comes to court cases in the hopes that you give up out of frustration or expenses. Yeah. Pyong. Stuffed crust pizza was invented by the government to help the dairy industry. Itadakimasu. Ooh, people obsessed with being seen as proper are often terrified by those who don't care what other people think. Nani kore? Autism Speaks is not an uwu organization because autism is not a disease that needs to be cured, but a neurotype that should be accommodated. Kawaii ne? Ara. Humans 12,000 years ago had the same intelligence as us, so I don't buy the excuse that atrocities weren't so bad because it was a different time. Sleep deprivation seriously puts you at risk for lots of diseases, but most people don't know that. We should value sleep in this society for health and happiness. Oyasumi nasai.
This post has been making the rounds in nearly every corner of social media, and I personally like to use posts like these as a sort of litmus test for the type of white folks I like to keep around me. It says, gentle reminder to all my content creator friends for October. Don't use the word spook or spooky to describe your theme celebrations. It's a slur. The end, no argument. Now, has the word spook been used against people like me as a slur in the past? Yes, but the word wasn't invented as a slur, nor do I think that the racialized connotation is eclipsing the original definition of the word. It's sort of like the word monkey, right? So if you target it at a black person, that's obviously racist. But if you're literally talking about the animal, then there's not a problem here. So the ultimate crime that this person committed was that they were trying to be a little more cognizant of the language that they were using and just how racialized our society is. There's no hostility. They were trying. So it's like not a big deal to me. So if your immediate response is something like this isn't, well, that seems like a stretch, but I'll look into it, and then you just move on, then you may have an issue with how you process information that challenges your behavior. Posts like these are usually made by somebody wanting to educate on the bigoted language and behavior that we may not be aware that we engage in. And keep in mind that like 99% of the time, they're generally correct, right? But without fail, it always generates the same response. Here goes yet another white woman or effeminate white savior man here to be offended on behalf of marginalized people. Now take note of the not so subtle misogyny there, because apparently it's a feminine trait to want to care about other people and develop yourself, and that's wrong for some reason. But this interaction always takes me back to something that I read once by a black theorist who I can't remember their name, but it's about how racism has always just been a battle amongst white people, wherein black people receive the collateral damage. The conversation shifts from black trauma immediately over to reinforcing the morality and the code of ethics between two groups of white people. And that's the group of white folks who consider themselves not actively racist and the woke white people who have gone too far. And at that point, the concern for the well-being of the black community has just evaporated entirely. If you're a black person choosing to engage with this conversation, you have effectively two routes to go. You could say, I'm black and I don't find this racist, at which point you will be tokenized against the woke white people who have gone too far, further validating the more racist elements of the conversation. Or you can say, I'm black and I do find this kind of racist, or I don't care that this person thinks that this is racist, at which point you will incur the wrath of the very racist elements of the conversation and have others wheel out their token in defense of their behavior. Us as black people, our opinions do not actually matter in the conversation. They are just used as tools to weaponize against other white people. And what's wild to me is just how much ridicule and outrage a take like this will generate, because it's completely out of proportion for the action being committed here. I mean, keep in mind that this is like the exact opposite phenomenon that happens when somebody's being called out for something racist. Because a post like this will get like 10 likes and a repost on Twitter, and then for weeks to come, it's covered on every right-wing news outlet. There are 30-minute takedown videos on YouTube. It's posted on every anti-leftist Facebook group in existence. People even get doxxed for shit like this. It'll be used to further drive a wedge in our community. And I think the most criminal aspect of it all is that people who are supposedly progressive join in on this. People who supposedly understand the nature of structural racism, but because of the optics of being perceived as going too far, they join in on the dog pile. Oh, I'm woke, but I'm not that woke. How are you people falling for this? I just can't believe how something like this deserves that much attention, okay? Where somebody who is probably in this instance wrong, but isn't really doing any harm by trying to be more cognizant about bigotry. And then they're just turned into a lolcow and used to further make all social justice a joke, and used to firewall people against educating themselves, and as an opportunity for right-wing coneheads to make a buck off of. I just do not understand why people trying to be less bigoted is supposed to be the biggest problem our society is facing.